Hello, hello. Welcome to the Wellness on Purpose podcast, where our intention is to provide you with impactful, educational, and realistic information to help you progress on your journey to live wellness on purpose now and for future generations. This podcast shares insights to current health trends with industry and brand leaders in the health and wellness world. This podcast is brought to you by Joanne's Place Health Foods from Peterborough and Lindsay, Ontario. My name is Marissa Laughlin. I'm a holistic nutritionist and functional lab practitioner. I've been working alongside Joanne's Place for the last 8 years, and I'm so excited to continue to be your host for this podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Wellness on Purpose podcast. So before we jump into talking about today's episode, I wanted to just quickly share the process of getting guests to come onto our podcast. So sometimes we have companies reach out to us. They've heard of our podcast. They want to be featured on it. They want to talk about their brand, their products, and we love that. That's amazing. Then there are other times where brands launch new products and we are like, wow, we love this, but we need some more education on these products. So let's do a podcast recording together. So that happens. We also have people who are from teams that just continuously come back onto our podcast. So, Purica, St. Francis, we've had them a couple times and we just love having them. So they come back onto the podcast as well. But there's also this other list that I have. And this list is one that I have created since day one of our podcast. And it's one that's continuously growing. It's called my must interview list. And these include smaller brands where I'm waiting for the opportunity to connect with the founders of the brands to interview them on our podcast. I mean, I'll interview and talk to anybody from any team, any company, any brand. But there's a handful of companies that I really want to talk to the founder of them, just to hear a little bit more about their passion, their experiences, their journey. And so I've just created this list. So before every season, I kind of go through the store. I look at new companies that we might have or old companies, and I think who could be on this list and what do I need to do to get in touch with these people? So sometimes there's a million loopholes in terms of emails to get through to these people, but this one kind of fell into my lap. And it has been on my list since we started this podcast back in 2019. And when I tell you that I was literally squealing in excitement when I heard that the founder would be joining me for this episode, I was like, seriously freaking out. I was so excited. I was so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't really get this overexcited, but this was one company where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So a little bit of happy tears, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of emails back and forth. And we finally came to a recording date and I finally get to sit down and I finally get to share with you who this person is. So I'm over the moon to share with you that for today's episode, I'm going to be interviewing Dana Stewart, who is the founder of Mad Hippie. Now, she also founded this cosmetic company with her husband, but it's incredible. If you know me in terms of you follow me on social media, you've ever commented to Joanne's Place, you've ever seen me and asked me about my skin, I always talk about Mad Hippie. It's the leading skincare brand in my personal collection, but it's also one of the top selling skincare product companies that we carry at Joanne's Place because it is top notch, okay? Not only are these formulations incredibly therapeutic for your skin, they contain active ingredients and they're really, really affordable. So Dana's going to talk all about the amazing benefits of the different products that they have in the line. And in particular, we're actually going to talk about their line extension that just released in Canada, which is their SPF line and is brand new to Joanne's Place. So without giving too much detail and taking up all of Dana's time here, join me in welcoming Dana onto the podcast today. Great. Hello, Dana. Thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. Now, we're going to be talking a lot about sun care and safe sunscare as well. But before we jump into all that, I want you to share with our listeners just a little bit about yourself and your journey as the founder of the most amazing skincare company, Mad Hippie.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I actually began my skincare journey, my husband and I should say, started our skincare journey about 14 years ago at this point. We lived abroad in Central America for a long time, for about 5 years, and my husband loves to surf. We lived in a little surf town, and he was out in the water every day. And that's actually kind of what precipitated our journey. We started noticing some major shifts and changes in our skin because we were living along the equatorial sun. It was really hard to keep sunscreen on, particularly when you're out in the waves. I'm not much of a surfer, but my husband is, and it was out there every day. He's very fair. So, light skin, light eyes, burns easily, turns 10 shades of red, doesn't really tan. He's one of those types. So
I'm that type as well.
yeah. So I think, it kind of hastened the amount of change that we were seeing in our skin, just because of his skin type. And I certainly was starting to notice it in mine as well. And I think what we realized was that this kind of the surf community that we were part of, these are folks who were out in it every day. And it felt like there weren't a lot of really safe, affordable, clean options on the market. And it also felt like there wasn't much that was easily approachable. It was really complicated to find what you were looking for, to know what you needed. And so we started Mad Hippie with the idea of creating a really clean, safe, effective, easy to use line of skincare and sun care for surfers. So that's what a lot of people don't know about Mad Hippie. It actually started out as a skincare line for surfers. Really early on, we realized that, we were garnering a pretty impressive following of folks who were loving our products, and it was so exciting to see, but they weren't surfers. They were mostly women looking for products that really healed sun damage and reduced, all of those visible signs of aging. And of course, as we continue down the journey, 90 to 95% of what we consider skin aging is actually a result of sun damage. So the fine lines and wrinkles that occur due to the breakdown of collagen and elastin, discoloration caused by damaged melanocytes, all of that stuff, is really at its root sun damage. We kind of consider it part of the natural aging process, but it can be incredibly hastened if you don't take good care of your skin and particularly protect it from the sun. So that's kind of how we started out. We started out with just a handful of products, and it was really just about creating really clean, easy to use, effective things that would really, alleviate those visible signs of sun damage. So, our first products were, a cleanser. We had a vitamin C serum, a moisturizer that was packed with antioxidants. We had a nighttime exfoliation product, and then, our face cream or moisturizer for night. But it was literally just this very condensed line. And that's kind of how we began. And we've just been kind of gradually adding to the line over the years. In the last several years, we started a sun care line as well. And then we've recently, in the last 2 years, expanded that sun care line. And so I know what we'll be talking about today is that kind of expanded sun care line that we're really excited about. Zinc has come such an incredible way since we first started formulating, and it's really fun to release zinc products that don't leave that pasty white cast on the skin that we were so used to back in the day. That was just kind of part of using zinc. In fact, like there were all the companies that added purple or yellow pigment to it. They're just like, go ahead and embrace it. You're going to look like you've got something on your face. You might as well paint some stripes with this. But we've come a long way since then. So it's exciting to release some products that really go on the skin pretty flawlessly.
Amazing. Yeah, we're going to talk in depth about the expansion of that line, but like anyone that knows me knows my true love for Mad Hippie. Like the products are amazing because they are effective. They have active ingredients, which is very challenging to come across in the natural health and beauty industry because we see so much essential oil based products or like carrier oil products. We're seeing kind of those like simplicity products. And I feel like Mad Hippie has really led the natural beauty with using more of those active ingredients to see the results, but also be cost effective because we're seeing, social media promote products that are $75, $95 to get results. And you don't need to spend that much. It's also probably not as clean either. So I love Mad Hippie for what you guys stand for and what you've created. The vitamin C serum is untouched. If anyone is looking for a new vitamin C serum, it's my top recommended one. The triple C night cream, there's so many. Now I will say the Original Mad Hippie SPF. I really liked it because I am very fair. So to be that white cast was not abnormal for me to ever have in a sunscreen. And I liked it because I did feel like it was still like very protective, and I was just okay with the white cast. But you've expanded this line and you have created a couple other products we're going to talk about so that there isn't necessarily that thick white cast, because that would be the number one I would say people would complain about, would be that white cast. But before we talk about the products, I want to talk a little bit more about sunscreen and SPF and mineral versus conventional and things like that. So on a scale 1 to 10, how important is sunscreen?
I would have to say it's a 10. It's right there at the top in terms of importance in your skincare routine. And that's because sun damage is cumulative over a lifetime. And so it is so important to get into the habit of wearing SPF and not to create loopholes for yourself. And I think there are also some kind of common misconceptions around, not needing SPF on a cloudy day. Well, UVA rays, which are actually and arguably the more damaging of the rays in terms of, there's just so many more of them. There's 30 to 50 times more UVA rays than UVB rays. You can kind of think of them as the aging rays of the sun. They do a lot of damage. There's pretty even amounts of UVA rays throughout the day. So it doesn't matter if it's the morning or the late afternoon, you're still getting those UVA rays. They penetrate the clouds, they penetrate glass. So it's really important just to get in the habit of using a broad spectrum SPF that's going to block those UVA rays, and not to mention the UVB rays, which are the rays that actually cause the sunburn. Those are the ones that tend to be the strongest at peak sun. So, high noon, that's when the UVB rays are going to be the strongest. So really important for both of those. Like I said, we were in Central America for a long time along the equatorial sun. We live here in Austin, Texas now. It's easy to be reminded in these kind of climates that you need sunscreen because it's hot and it's sunny and the sun just feels like it's frying you. You get little reminders of that. It's bright. But we lived in the Pacific Northwest for 7 years. And when we were there, it was really a lot harder to remember. And I would frequently meet people who were like, oh, well, I hardly ever wear it here because, cloudy. And, it's just a really common misconception. If it's cloudy, then I'm not going to get a sunburn. Well, you might not get a sunburn, but you are getting UVA damage. So always important to wear your sunscreen. That's a great question.
Yeah, so important. And like, as you said, you said the UVA rays can come through glass, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're sitting at a desk or you're driving, you're still going to have that risk of potentially causing that sun damage. So SPF, incredibly important. Now, further than talking about SPF, can we talk about types of SPF? So there's either typically mineral or more of the conventional chemical-based SPFs. So mineral-based SPFs, what is it? Why is it better than a conventional chemical SPF?
That's a really great question. I think there's a lot of confusion about it. The only mineral SPFs that are approved are titanium dioxide and zinc. Zinc is the most broad spectrum in terms of mineral SPF, and so that's what we utilize in our formulas. Conventional SPFs, the chemical UV absorbers, function in a different way. They actually absorb UV light and kind of turn it into heat, kind of diffuse it. Physical blocking agents like zinc actually create a physical barrier on the surface of the skin and deflect that UV light. So it's just a different way of working. In terms of chemical SPFs, there's been a lot of heat on them lately just because we are seeing what they're doing to reefs and water ecosystems. And so they've become under a lot of scrutiny at this point. There's actually studies that are being done right now in terms of figuring out what their impact is on people. But we do know that you absorb a lot of those chemical UV absorbers. We do know that those are absorbed into the skin. We don't know the long-term impact on them. We do know that they're bleaching coral and they're really damaging to aquatic environments. We also have mammalian studies that have, confirmed that they have an impact on our health as well and are endocrine disruptors. So, we are still kind of unraveling their impact on humans, but we do know they're absorbed and we do know that they're damaging to aquatic environments. And so for that reason, we stay clear of them. In terms of physical blocking agents and mineral SPFs, the most common complaint is that white cast. So zinc is broad spectrum. It's a wonderful, safe SPF. It's great for sensitive skin types. However, it leaves a white cast, or it traditionally has. That's been the biggest complaint, and it's really hard to formulate with. It's typically created some pretty inelegant formulas. That's come a long way. So the dispersion agents have gotten a lot better. We've gotten a lot better at micronizing zinc. So the formulas that we have available now are miles and miles apart from, what we started out with, and certainly what was available 14 years ago. So that's really exciting, and also should alleviate a lot of people's concerns in terms of using a zinc sunscreen.
Now, in terms of SPF, the values that are associated with different SPFs, what do they actually mean? I think people just assume they need the absolute highest, and not many mineral sunscreens are going to find at an SPF 100. So can you actually explain what those values mean and why does it matter?
Absolutely. So an SPF 30, for instance, should mean that it takes 30 times longer for you to burn or your skin to redden in sunlight. So that's how the SPF rating system works. An SPF 30 blocks around 97% of sun rays. So anything over that is that remaining 3%. Like you said, it's really difficult to get a really high rating with a zinc sunscreen, particularly one that's not going to leave you just incredibly pasty. So that's the big issue there. Something like an SPF 100, those are typically chemical UV absorbers that get those ratings. And, like I said, we steer clear of those. There are definitely concerns with a lot of those. Many of them are banned in places certainly like Key West and Hawaii and Australia. All of those places are banning those chemical sunscreens anyway. So again, sticking with zinc, it's really great to, find a SPF that is going to be strong enough for whatever your needs are. So, if you're going to be swimming, go with a higher SPF. If you're just going to be out and about in town for the day, a little lower SPF is probably appropriate. And again, you're going to have a little bit better skin feel with those.
Yeah, for sure.
A bit lower. Yeah.
Now you said with the SPF that's 30, it's going to protect about 97% of UV rays, correct?
Exactly.
Now, in terms of that SPF, and I mean all of the different values, does it matter the frequency of application in terms of protection, or is it kind of like a one and done and you're good?
That's a really good point. And particularly with a physical blocking SPF, it's so important that you reapply. And in fact, those numbers are definitely based on a lab environment when they are being applied regularly and properly and the proper amount. People tend to under apply sunscreen. They tend to not use quite enough, and they tend to wait too long to reapply. And actually, that's a major problem with some of those higher SPF ratings too. People think, oh, I put on an SPF 50, I can just leave it on for the day and I'll be fine. No, you've got to reapply. In fact, with our SPFs, we typically say every 2 hours or after towel drying or wiping your face. Anytime you're disrupting that layer of zinc that's on the skin, you've got to go ahead and reapply. So best just to keep it right there in your beach bag or in your purse and just reapply throughout the day.
We're going to take a quick pause in today's episode so I can share some incredibly exciting news with you. On behalf of Joanne's Place, I'm excited to share the launch of the Wellness on Purpose program to educate you. This is an online self-directed educational program that is focusing on key pillars of your health and wellness. These pillars include your nutrition, your stress, your sleep, and your movement. As I mentioned, this is a self-directed educational online program, and guess what? It is completely complimentary, aka it is free. We've decided to offer this program for free because we think it's really important for everybody to have access to this information and to start making changes today. So to kick off the start of our online program, we have released the first pillar focusing on your nutrition. So if you want to learn more about how to eat a balanced and sustainable way without overcomplicating and following strict dietary guidelines, this program is suited for you. So to learn more about it and to enroll now, go find the registration link in the description below and get started today. Now, with other products, in particular to skincare type of products, Are there products that could impact the integrity of your skin when you're in the sun? And if there is, what are they and what should we be aware of in terms of usage of them?
There are definitely products and ingredients that make your skin a little bit more sensitive. Anytime you exfoliate, you're actually taking off a layer of dead skin cells, and you're revealing all these fresh new skin cells underneath, and they are more susceptible to damage. So, if you were exfoliating regularly and nightly, definitely even more important that you're wearing your SPF every day, that you're avoiding those peak sun hours that are typically between 10 and 2, wear a hat, get into some shade. All of those things are really important. And then in terms of ingredients that you can utilize to kind of counteract that, and certainly when you look at our sunscreens, what you'll find is it's a blend of antioxidants as well as that physical protection agent. So the zinc is combined with lots of antioxidants. And the purpose of that, those antioxidants actually really help reduce a lot of the oxidative stress on the skin, a lot of the free radical damage. And so it's really important that those are utilized together. So in terms of what makes your skin more sensitive, exfoliation. So that's going to be anything like, alpha hydroxy acids, a scrub, even scrubbing your face with a washcloth or a Clarisonic brush. All of those things are going to actually sensitize your skin. Using vitamin A, anything that acts as an exfoliant is going to sensitize the skin a little bit. And those antioxidants are going to counteract all of that oxidative stress that you get in the sun. So vitamin C, certainly, you talked about our vitamin C serum. The vitamin C, E, and ferulic is a really wonderful product to use before you go out in the sun. Vitamin C actually stays under the skin for 24 to 48 hours and provides antioxidant support during that time. So really great one to complement your sunscreen. So we highly recommend that one in the morning.
Okay. Now, can I go over my skincare with you right now? I use the vitamin C serum in the morning, and then I put the SPF on. Well, I do a day cream, and then I put an SPF on that. And then at night, like once I wash my face, I will use the AHA micro abrasion scrub, like one of those two a couple times a week. But then I use the antioxidants serum. Is that like supportive, kind of what you were saying in terms of the sun damage?
Absolutely. So that's a really great routine. First off, I think, it's so important to exfoliate the skin, but you never want to over exfoliate the skin. We all have what's called the acid mantle on the surface of the skin, basically a thin layer of acidic oils that serve as a barrier on the surface of the skin, keep the skin hydrated. It's really, really important. So you want to exfoliate, you want to take off all the dead skin that can build up and clog pores. And of course, taking off that layer of dead skin cells is also going to help all of your other products absorb properly into the skin. But it's also really, really important not to over exfoliate the skin and compromise that acid mantle. So that thin layer of oils that's so important to the skin. So a really great way to do it is to use something like that microdermabrasion scrub a couple times a week. You can use that AHA peel that you were talking about a few times a week as well. So that'll keep you nice and exfoliated, but you're not over exfoliating the skin. And then complementing that with the antioxidant facial oil, that's going to be packed with antioxidants. So it's going to actually be a base of pomegranate seed oil, and also some hyaluronic oils in that one. And then you've got a ton of different antioxidants in there, everything ranging from like goji and strawberry and kiwi and it's got a ton. Broccoli extract, which is rich in sulforaphane. So lots of really wonderful antioxidants specifically formulated to help reduce the impact of sun damage. So that one can be used in the morning or the evening, or, it's actually very multi-purpose. It can be used as your standalone moisturizer. So oils are finally making a comeback, and I'm so excited about that. People were terrified of oils forever. And with reason. Some oils are, can clog pores. So you do want to be conscientious about which oils that you're using on the skin. However, oils are absolutely wonderful for the skin, and such an important part of a skincare routine for a lot of people. So I love that you're using that one and enjoying it. It's one of my favorites as well.
It's so good. I love it. Now, I want to talk about what I'm going to just assume is going to be my new favorite products are some of the new Mad Hippie sun care products that are now available in Canada. So I just want to talk a little bit more about what new products are launching and how you decide like which one you want to go with. So Daily Protective Serum. Let's talk a little bit about the consistency of what this is going to be, and like tell me all about it.
Yes, absolutely. So the Daily Protective Serum has actually been the best seller of the new sun care products. So definitely recommend giving that one a try. I think what's making this one so popular is, for one, it's that SPF 30. So it's a really nice high SPF rating. And that is a broad spectrum SPF. So it's been tested for UVA and UVB, which is also really important. But what's really special about this one is it goes on just seamlessly because it is that serum texture. So it comes out very liquidy. You'll notice you have to shake it. It has a little like BB inside that you can hear shaking around in there, dispersing the zinc. And then when you put it into your hand, it is very liquidy, and it's intended to be. It's intended to be a serum SPF. It's got tons of hydrating elements in it. So polyglutamic acid, buriti fruit, and hyaluronic acid. And then it's also got tons of antioxidants to support skin health. So you'll find vitamin C in there. It's not going to be as concentrated as our vitamin C serum, but it's definitely a wonderful supporting ingredient to provide that antioxidant support and prevent that oxidative stress on the skin. This one's also going to be 80-minute water resistant, which people really love. So if you're going to the pool, this is going to be a great one to wear. And it is fragrance free as well. So people really love that about this one also. And of course, because it is a zinc sunscreen, it's going to be reef safe as well. So you can take this one on your Hawaiian vacation and know that you're being coral safe.
Amazing. That sounds so dreamy. And I was going to say too, it's probably like that serum consistency is perfect under like makeup and things like that. It's nice and thin, correct?
Exactly. And actually, building off the popularity of that one, we did create another serum SPF, which is also launching there in Canada, which is that sheer tint sun serum. So that one's going to be basically kind of like a tinted version of it, but it's also going to be a little bit even more lightweight. It's not going to have that 80-minute water resistance because this one's really intended to be kind of your daily SPF just around town. So it's very, very, very slightly pigmented. Again, really just to eliminate that white cast that you can sometimes get with zinc. So it goes on absolutely seamlessly. It's a very thin formula, so it goes on just beautifully clear. And that little bit of tint is really nice. It just kind of evens the complexion, but it isn't enough tint to actually be makeup or anything like that. It's not going to, go on like a foundation. And it is going to have those hydrating elements in it as well as those antioxidants. So again, supporting with the antioxidant support, and then also the hydrating elements like hyaluronic acid in that one as well. So that one comes in at an SPF 29, and that one's also broad spectrum.
Okay. That's what I'm like most excited about to try. I mean, I'm excited to try them all, but in the summertime, like I have really red pigmented skin. So I don't love to wear a ton of makeup, but I just like something to kind of have like more just like, even type of look. So I'm really excited to see how that looks on my skin. And then there are two other ones. There's the hydrating facial SPF and then the luminizing facial SPF. So what's the difference between these two?
Great question. So these are both cream SPFs. The hydrating facial SPF is going to be kind of your typical cream SPF. It goes on really beautifully clear. It's going to be packed with antioxidants. It's going to be 80-minute water resistant. It comes in at an SPF 25. It again is that broad spectrum SPF, reef safe, fragrance free. So highly recommend that one if you're just looking for like a standard cream SPF to utilize every day. The luminizing SPF is going to be a slightly shimmery version. So kind of building off of the popularity of luminizing products. Like I mentioned, I have a 13-year-old and she's obsessed with this. So she's like, it's kind of like makeup. I get to wear it. Like, that's so funny. But anyway, I guess with parents in the biz, it's to be expected. But the luminizing facial SPF has just a little bit of fair trade mica in it. So you're not going to look like a disco ball after you put this on. It is just very slightly shimmery. So it just has a little bit of fair trade mica in it just to add a little bit of iridescence. This one came out as a facial SPF. It comes in at an SPF 29. We have tons of people who actually like to utilize this all over. It looks really pretty on like the chest. If you're wearing a bathing suit, it's got like that little subtle shimmer. So we actually have a lot of folks who like to utilize this as a body SPF as well. This one is going to be water resistant as well. So a great one for your pool bag. It is a thinner version of the cream SPF. So it's a little bit thinner. It's slightly pigmented. So it goes on just seamlessly and very clear. And so this one is also fragrance free. So really, really nice kind of daily formula for just a little bit of shimmer, a little something special.
I love that. As soon as you said, like, I'm like, oh, I want this on my shoulders. I want this on like where my bikini line. I love this. I can't wait to try that. Amazing. I'm going to try them all. I'm going to review them all. But what is one piece of advice that you can give to our listeners? That can be anything, lifestyle. It can be other products. It could be food related. One piece of advice that you would give to support healthy, glowing, and protected skin.
This question really speaks to the importance of lifestyle for us. I think when we started this line, it was really all about supporting a healthy lifestyle. Get outside. It feels so good. It's so good for your stress levels. Get outside, do it with, make sure that your skin is protected, put on your SPF, try to de-stress, drink lots of water, laugh a lot. All of these things are so important. So it's really mostly about lifestyle. Just we wanted to create something that supported a healthy lifestyle. And that's what we really encourage people to find, routines that make them happy and make them feel good. And we hope that our skincare becomes a part of a routine that you enjoy.
Oh, I love that. Those are all really great points. And it's so important to get outside. I think there's been a shift where people are like, stay out of the sun, like don't go in the sun. It's like, that's a huge other aspect of life in terms of energy and like getting your mood up and boosting your serotonin levels. So don't avoid it. Enjoy that sunshine. Just be protected with the right mineral-based SPF products from Mad Hippie.
Exactly. That's what we would say. Thank you so much.
Yes. All right. So for our listeners, I am going to leave a description about these products in our show notes, which will be below, and come to Joanne's place and see these amazing products for yourself. We're going to have them on display to show you all the new products that they've launched, and check them out. They're going to be on sale for the next little while as well. So Dana, I want to thank you so much for being on our podcast today. It's been such a pleasure. You've shared so much information, and it's just been so lovely chatting with you.
Well, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
If you're still here, thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. If you want to learn more about the topics that we covered in today's episode, as well as the products, you've got two options. You can head over to our Joanne's Place website to review the show notes. We'll leave that in the description below. Or you can pop into one of our Joanne's Place locations and talk to one of our amazing staff. Just a reminder, if you haven't already, go over to your preferred platform, follow our page, and then find us over on social media so you're notified as soon as a new episode is released. That's all for now, and we'll see you in the next episode.